Hi. In the last video, we built a sentiment analysis classifier using gradient boosted method on Amazon personal care product review dataset. What we noticed is we got pretty good accuracy on the model. The model was simple as well. It did not take lot of compute time comparing to the TensorFlow model that we developed previously. We saw like the end-to-end process completed in some 15 minutes overall, and we also got pretty good accuracy. We got a 94% area under curve, right? And the precision was good and the recall was also good, irrespective of the data set being an imbalanced data set. Now what we are going to do in this video is take that particular model that we created, and we are going to see how it performs on an evaluation data set that is not seen by the model. At the same time, we are also going to see if we can explain the outcome of the model. Like we are going to create some partial dependency plot, and also we are going to see what words are contributing to positive sentiment and what words are contributing to negative sentiment. In case if you have not seen my previous video, I would suggest you can have a quick look of it. You can use the link that is coming on the top to watch the video, or you can use the video description section. I have attached the previous video link. You can watch it. Most of the things what we are going to do is we are going to take that video, we are saved the model, and we are going to create a deployment pipeline for our prediction and also for explaining the model. So let's get started. So yeah, in the previous video I used H2O to create my GBM model. As I said, you can use scikit-learn or any other tool as well to create the model. Now to run H2O, what I have to do is I have to install Java. H2O is a Java based product, so I need to install Java, and I also need to pip install H2O product itself. So I have done both of this. I don't want to waste time in the video, it's already done. Let's get started with the main part of the code. So what I'm doing is I am importing H2O, NumPy and Pandas over here in the very first line, right? And then I'm starting the H2O cluster. When I do an H2O.init, it will start an H2O cluster in the local host. And that's what you're seeing, that H2O server is coming up, and you can see like it's up and running, right? If you see over here, I have uploaded three different data set over here. The first data set is reviews.txt, which is a reviews again of Amazon product reviews, but it is not seen by the model yet. I have the GBM model that I have saved. So in the previous video, I created GBM model, I have saved it. I also have a word to vector model that takes the input words and convert it into a numeric representation. So I had word to vector also created last time. So I have that model also saved. So I'm going to use these two models to create the output from my test data set, that is reviews.txt, and then use that to predict as well as explain the model, right? So what I'm doing is, the first thing I'm doing a pandas.read CSV of reviews.txt. I have created a separator as double tilde. That's why I'm given over here. That's what I have saved the output as. And I have like the column names as headline, reviews and target. So if you remember, the target is whether it's a positive sentiment or negative sentiment. The headline or reviews are two columns. Reviews is the actual reviews that user give on Amazon website, and headline is the title that they give to review. So if you have given an Amazon review, you can see you give a short description and a long description of the review. So these are the two columns. I am assigning it to a reviews data frame, which is an pandas data frame. The next I am doing is I am creating an H2O data frame out of it. So I am doing an H2O.H2O frame, and then I am passing the pandas data frame over here, and again I am giving the column names. You don't have to give it, I just give it again, and I am telling what is the column data type, and this will give me an H2O data frame. So basically I am converting my pandas data frame into an H2O data frame. So if you run an output here, you can see there's an headline column, which is a short description of the review. There's a reviews column, and there's a target variable, right? These are the three variables. Now quickly, if I run number of rows of the shape, you will get like there are 400 rows for our evaluation. And how the target is split, basically I can just create like target.table, which will give me the target split. And you can see the positive review, there are 295, and the negative review is 105. Right now, I'm going to replicate my deployment pipeline. So if you remember the last video, or if you have seen the last video, what I've done is I have taken the input data, I have tokenized it, I have removed the stop words, right? And for that I was using NLTK. So I'm using the same NLTK. I'm using the stop word corpus and then sending the stop word. Then I'm creating a tokenized function over here. So basically the tokenize function, let me run the next two and then let me talk about, okay, I have to run the tokenize command first. So let me run this command and then let me talk about it. In the tokenize, what I am doing is I am taking the input reviews vector, whatever the review is there. I am doing a tool over of it and then I am tokenizing it. So basically, I am splitting the reviews into each word. And then I am just taking words which are greater than or equal to 2. And finally, what I am doing is I am like just making sure that in the stop words, all the stop words are removed in the token, and this function will finally return the words with the stop words removed. That's what it's going to do. And then what I am doing is I am passing my reviews and headline to the tokenized method so that I have the output tokenized. At the same time, you can see the output over here. So basically I have the output tokenized, at the same time the stop words are removed. So you can see basically the review vector, the top few words, right? The head, I call the head function to show the top 10 words. You can see these are the top 10 words. And then you can see for the headline vector, these are the top 5 words, right? So you can see like basically that's a shaver because it's a personal care product. You can see like shaver. I have not done a lot of remmatization and stemming and everything, but we can do further and see whether the model accuracy improves. So what I'm doing, this two particular columns are converted into word now, right? Then let me quickly print the shape of the vector, and then I am importing the word embedding package, the word embedding estimator, and also I am importing the gradient boosting estimator. In fact, this was there. I don't need this because I'm not training the model, but I just forgot to remove it. You don't need to run this too as well. Then what I am doing is I am basically calling the H2O load model, the word to vector model that we trained. I showed you in the folder, I have already uploaded it. So this word to vector model, it will create a word to vector model object. And then using the word to vector model object, I'm going to pass the two word vector that I created, the review and headline word vector, and then convert it to an numeric representation, right? So that's what it does. Now quickly, I have loaded the word to vector and I see like if my word to vector performs better. I saw that the shaver was one of the word. Let me find the synonym for it. So if you really see, it's finding like Nerolco, which is a kind of shaver that is available, Panasonic, Remington, Brown. These are all brands of the shaver, and basically you are seeing like it's finding the closest synonyms for that shaver object. And similarly, I'm also checking for glasses, and for glasses you can see it's bifocals, lenses, reader. So what word to vec does it? If you use a typical count vector or TF-IDF, it just creates numeric representation without understanding the proximity of other words, but word to vector understands the proximity of other words. So it's better sometimes when you're creating like the embedding using word to vector, all the synonyms and closer words are mapped together, right? That's what I've done over here, and I'm going to use this word to vector model and going to transform the word reviews object. In this case, it is similar to what I did in my training pipeline. And similarly, the headline vector or the headline words also I'm going to transform it. But since the review vectors is creating the object, it will create column names called C1, C2, C3. We use the vector size as 100 when we are training the model. So it will create 100 it will basically create 100 columns C1, C2, and headline also it will do the same thing. It will create 100 object, but I want to give a unique name. I don't want to give the same name. That's why I am adding the headline underscore. I'm just like kind of prefixing headline underscore so that the column names are different. So now if you see the output over here, basically you can see I have the review vector which has column C1, C2, C3 till C100. And then I have the headline vector which has basically column like headline underscore C1, C2, C3 and all, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new data frame, and I'm going to bind these two columns to the H2O data frame that we add on top. What will be there? You will have all the C1, C2 column appended to it. When I do a bind, it kind of column. Basically, if you go on the top, you can see all these columns are now you have all the C1, C2, C3. Like that, you have the headline underscore C1, C2, C3 also, right? And then finally, I'm going to load the H2O model. So H2O model is what we have trained. I'm taking the model and doing a load model that will be the final model. So till now, what I have done is I have just replicated the training pipeline. Whatever the training I used, I replicated the pipeline over here. Now, next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically take this particular take the incoming reviews.txt, and I'm going to do a model performance evaluation. This data is completely not seen during the training time. I want to see how this performs with the final model, right? So in that case, I'm taking the model object GBM model. I'm calling the model performance method, and I am basically passing the headline vector and the review vector name. So these are the calling. I'm also passing the target so that it can evaluate the model performance with the target variable. So once I run this, you can actually see over here, it is basically on the top, it will show the summary of evaluation. Yeah. So you can see over here the AUC is close to 97.97, and this is the confusion matrix. Basically, you can see for the positive class, there are out of 295, only 12 as error, and for the negative sentiment class, again 12 error out of 93. So basically, the error is 0.11 and 0.40. Still, the model is pretty good. It has got a 97 AUC. Right now, I'm going to start the explanation part of the model now. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to see the variable importance plot. So when I do the final model variable importance plot, it's going to show me the different variables that are important for the prediction, right? So you can see the headline underscore C98 variable and headline underscore C53 variable. Both are pretty important to the model. Right, and then you have the regular review body C53, C6 and C38, very pretty important. But from this I cannot make any sense what is it, because it is already an word embedding, right? I exactly don't know what does this headline C98 mean, what does this headline C53 mean. So that's what we are going to go and find out. What variables contribute to headline C98, what variables contribute to headline C53. You can do it so on. I'm going to show for the first two. Right. So now what I'm doing is I am creating something called a partial dependency plot. So the partial dependency plot is nothing but it shows the marginal effect of the feature that have on the predicted outcome of the machine learning model. So let me just run this. So what I'm doing is the very first thing I'm doing is I'm taking this headline C98 column, which is one of the pretty highly important column, and then I'm creating a partial dependency plot. So it's going to show me output like this. It's just building the model. Building the output. So what it's showing is for the C98, these are the different word embedding vectors, and these are the mean response, and these are the standard deviation response. So if you see the plot, you will get a better idea over here, right? So what it is doing is on the bottom, it is mapping the word vector representation, and on the left hand side is showing the mean response. So if you see over here, basically the lower the value of the word vector representation. So word vector will just generate a negative and positive value, right? It will be like kind of between -1 to +1, or it can be even more than that also. I'm just giving an example. So the higher the probability of the prediction, the positive sentiment, as the values in the headline C98 are negative, but it falls down as it goes into the positive range. If it goes above 0.1, it goes in the positive range. That's what the partial dependency plot is showing. So basically it is showing the response variable. This showing the feature, how it behaves to the response variable. Now, okay, again, this does not tell me what that does mean, right? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and understand this particular variable response, right? That 0.2, 0.4, and what word it's contribute to. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my model that I created. Basically, I'm going to find from the headline what are the unique words that are available, right? That's the first thing I'm going to do. What are unique words that are available? And then I'm going to go to my word2vec model, and then I'm going to transform these unique words and then get the embeddings out of it, and then I'm going to concatenate the embedding. So if you see the output, you will get an idea. Let me quickly run this. And when I do a word embedding, so this is the word vector. I got all the words over here. Now, as I said, I didn't do a lot of data cleaning, so you may have a lot of noise as well, right? And I have the 100 words because I'm calling the word2vec model, and the word2vec vector size is 100. It's going to give me all the 100 representation of the model. Right now, in this particular case, in the headline, basically I'm using C98. Since I have created this word embedding only for the headline, I have to use directly C98 rather than headline underscore C98. That's what I'm doing over here. I'm creating a histogram of it. So this histogram actually shows me how this particular word, this particular C98 word, right? Headline C98 word is distributed. I can see some values less than 0. That's a left tail, but a lot of values are concentrated towards the positive side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the word embedding object that we created on top, and I'm going to pick the C98 and I'm going to do less than minus 0.2. The reason is if you see the partial dependency plot, I can see when it's minus 0.2 or less, typically it tends towards an negative response, right? Or it tends towards a positive response, and it becomes negative response as it goes down. Right, so that's what I'm going to see over here. So I'm taking all the words that are less than 0.2 and I'm doing like I'm just printing the head out of it. Right, now you can see over here basically see the words that contribute to the positive response. Right, you have absolute, accurate is basically okay, the product can be accurate, amazing, awesome, bigger. Right, these are all some words that are creating like a positive sentiment over here. You can see the words, or maybe it can be a product also, something related to Bayer, something related to Balm. So these are all the things that are contributing to the positive sentiment. But at the same time, if you come over here, you can see like something greater than 0.1 is contributing to negative sentiment. So let's see that as well. So what I'm doing is here I'm telling word embedding greater than 0.2. Right? Basically, we are seeing like a negative correlation. When it's negative, it's like, when it's positive, it's negative sentiment, right? So it's greater than 0.2. You can see, okay, beware, broke, cheaply, right, defective. So you can see basically these are all the words that are contributing to the negative sentiment. This is with the C98. That is the first variable importance. Can we do the same thing to the second variable importance? In the second variable importance, again, I'm generating a partial dependency plot of the second headline C53 variable. Right. So if you see the output over here, the headline C53 variable, now you can see basically over is the other way around, right? It's negative sentiment when the headline C53 encoding is negative, and it goes into slightly positive when when the encoding is positive, right? So that is kind of a positive relationship over here. Right, let me again generate the histogram and see how the words are distributed, and now see, you can see basically kind of a uniform distribution over here. It's centered toward there. So what I'm going to do is, you can see from the top, when it's 0.2, it's typical negative sentiment, and it slowly gets to positive after that, and when it's 0.3 and all, it's completely positive sentiment. So I'm going to take the word embedding and see like less than minus 0.2, and I'm going to see the top 15 vectors over here. And again, because it's a negative sentiment, now you can see actually again words like cheaply, the arrival, maybe it arrived late, it is dead, basically it's a disaster. You can see these words are contributing to the negative sentiment. And similarly, when it's greater than 0.3, you can see basically the words like what you can say, deluxe, elegant, exactly, right? These are all some words that are more contributing towards the positive sentiment. Or it can be bad, it can be again words like products also, balm, bandages and all. So the idea is like you can print even more words and quickly check it. It just gives you an idea like what are the words typically contributing to negative and positive sentiment, and it's even more like explainable with the GBM model that we developed. So that's about it. Thank you very much.